And if I'm being honest with you, before we even get into what we're going to talk about, which is just one specific instance, one situation that unfolded over the weekend, Wednesday night, I believe, the NBA as a whole, at least for me, is hard to even spend a lot of time talking about, because over the course of the last decade and a half, I think it's turned a lot of people off, because you had that stretch run where it was Golden State and Cleveland for the NBA Finals matchup in like 6 consecutive years. It was something stupid. LeBron's in the finals every other year or every year. And then when people don't get LeBron and people don't get the Golden State Warriors, all it is just a complaining bitch fest from the diehard NBA fans, because they go, oh, it's so boring. The Nuggets is so boring. The Suns and Bucks is so boring. So from the outside, as a non-diehard NBA fan, I go, well, I guess that must have been a pretty boring NBA Finals. I don't really want to watch. But then I see Golden State and LeBron James in the finals every year, and it turns me off to it as a casual fan, because I'm like, wait, didn't they just play in the finals? And haven't they both played in the finals every year, no matter what seed they are going into the postseason? Oh, so the NBA regular season means nothing. Get healthy, have everybody ready to go, dialed in, with 5 games under their belt going into the playoffs. If you've got a great roster, just talent-wise, you're going to go deep into the postseason. You've got that part of it. Then you've got the fact that the NBA is a giant complain fest most of the time, and some of the best players in the entire league spend half the time complaining about the situation that they find themselves in because they're not winning basketball games. It's an egotistical league. It's hard to follow in a lot of ways, because turn your back on it for 3 months in the off season. Like, stop paying attention to the NBA. Let's say you go on a 3-week vacation or something crazy. You study abroad. You don't have, I don't know what the case would be. You could go one NBA off season, come back, and there could be like 18 different dudes that are quote unquote superstars that are just on different teams every single year. I mean, I feel like in the last 5 years, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and Dame Lillard have all been on different teams every single season. Like, in the last even 3 years, I feel like Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and Ben Simmons have all been on a different team every single season. And the NBA would probably consider most of those guys, at least at one point, superstars. So it's hard to follow the NBA. All right. It's been a participation league, trophy league for a little bit. The NBA, people like me watching the NBA as an extremely casual fan from the outside who appreciates the sport of basketball, I have a really hard time following the NBA consistently and regularly, because the regular season, like, it means nothing. It means so much nothing that they had to create an in-season tournament to incentivize their players to try really, really hard during the regular season. And that didn't work. I promise you, ask any of the players, they have absolutely no clue and no care in the world about this in-season tournament. It means absolutely nothing to them. The financial incentive is nowhere near the number it needs to be for them to actually be balling out for it. So the regular season means nothing, because we've seen it time and time again. Just get your big 3 or your big 2 healthy and ready to go. Come playoff time, you're going to make a deep run, is what it is. Then you've got the play-in tournament. So 65 or 70% of the league makes the postseason. That's not fun to watch. What's the incentive to play in the regular season? There is none. You can finish under 500 and you can make a run, quote unquote, or get into the postseason to some degree. And in all reality, they just created the play-in tournament because LeBron had a hard time recruiting superstars to play on his team. So the Lakers, or the team that LeBron was playing on, wouldn't really do well in the regular season, but they still needed LeBron to get into the postseason. So they created a tournament outside of the postseason to play in to get into the postseason, aka get LeBron in the playoffs. That's all it is. So it's hard to follow as a fan from the outside. Then you've got this Greg Popovich situation, which to me epitomizes how hard it is to be a serious follower of this league consistently. Popovich, well, let's just play the clip.
Foul. That is 2 on Keldon. Leonard coming in average at 21. Had that Monday. 80% from the line on the season. And Kawhi with 8 points tonight. 3 of 5 from the floor. It is only 3.
Excuse me for a second.
Pops on the mic.
Stop all the booing, let these guys play. It's got no class. It's not who we are. Knock off the booing.
Pop telling the fans to lay off Kawhi Leonard. But that's not San Antonio.
Well, I don't believe I've ever seen that.
I've seen a number of college coaches motion to their crowds, particularly the student crowds, if they're...
Yeah.
So Greg Popovich just grabbed the microphone during the game, as you could clearly hear, and basically told the fans in San Antonio to stop booing. Stop booing Kawhi Leonard. Stop booing the players, the opposing team. When I first saw that clip, a lot of different things went through my head. When I first saw Greg Popovich grab the PA microphone during the game, a million thoughts started racing through my head. Is this a joke? Like an actual, like, is he messing around? I thought, is this real? Like, is this a real thing? This actually happened? Is this old footage? Did this happen a long time ago? Somewhere preseason? And when all those things were counted out, and I realized that this is an actual video that really happened in real life, I was left speechless. I had nothing initially left. I had nothing to say. As soon as I saw the video and it was determined, and I was able to guarantee that that was a real video of an NBA head coach grabbing the PA microphone in the arena to tell his home fans to stop booing an opposing player or an opposing team. After an initial sequence of being just completely left speechless, I actually could not believe what I had just witnessed, because I watched it all the way through, saw Popovich grab the mic, watched the video, saw it come through my Twitter feed. I was like, this has got to be fake. There's no way. This has got to be an old video. This got to be like a joke, like he's messing with the fans. Nope. This is real. The next thought I had was, who the hell does Greg Popovich think he is? Who does he think he is? I don't care how much success he's had in the NBA. I don't care how many rings he has. I don't care about any of that. I don't care about pedigree. I don't care about body of work. He has earned nothing even close to that. Nothing. He was upset because the San Antonio Spurs home fans were booing Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard obviously had a good run of success on the Spurs, won an NBA championship with them. Apparently Popovich didn't think the booing was warranted for Kawhi Leonard while he's shooting free throws. He's shooting free throws. That's what you do at an NBA game, is you shoot free throws as an opposing player and you get booed. That's what happens. I don't care if Kawhi Leonard played 29 years on the San Antonio Spurs and won 29 championships and went undefeated every single year. The next time he's in that building as an opposing player shooting free throws, he's going to get booed. That's how professional sports works. That's how life works. Racial slurs, family members, all that stuff, don't do it. I don't like it. I would never condone it. I don't think it's respectful. It should never be even considered inside an NBA arena. Never do it. But booing? Hey, Pop, newsflash. Booing has been around since the Roman Empire. It's been around since the Roman Empire. And by the way, Pop, rich man who has no idea, no perspective, and thinks he can just tell people how to act and what to do at an NBA game, who are acting well within the constraints of what fans can and should be doing. These fans paid, oh my God, so much money, hundreds, thousands of dollars to be at that game, to pay your salary, to watch you play, watch you coach. And you have the gall, you have the audacity to grab the microphone during the game over the PA system and tell the fans to stop booing. By the way, if you watch the video and you watch the context of the game and the situation, they weren't even booing that loud. They weren't even booing that loud. And if you think that's bad, Pop, of all people, you should know how insignificant that booing and that entire situation was. Because you've played in the NBA Finals, you played against hostile environments, you played on the East Coast, Boston, Philly, New York. You think booing a player's bad? Booing a player's bad while he's shooting free throws? How about when the guys at the baseline, the guys under the hoop, the guys that sit 2 rows behind the bench are yelling at the players in Boston and Philadelphia, New York about their dead parents, their dead grandparents, which I don't condone. I don't think you should. I think there's a line, and I think that's probably crossing it. The point is, where was the PA microphone grab back then or in those situations? It's happened to Popovich before. Nope, he couldn't get away with it then. He couldn't flex. He couldn't show off. He couldn't establish his entitled mentality on those East Coast fans. But when it's in San Antonio, that's not what we do. We don't boo. Oh, you don't boo. Okay, so you're the booing police, Popovich. Okay, cool, got it. So you've won some NBA games. You've won a couple titles. You can now tell people how to act at an NBA game. Understood. So now anytime and every time there's any fan altercation or I watch a highlight of an NBA playoff game and I hear the fans booing, I'll be sure to pick up the phone and give you a call, Pop. Make sure that that's okay. Like, who do you think you are, dude? Unbelievable. And by the way, the best part about it is these guys are professional, multi-tens of millionaire athletes. They make gobs of cash to go out and deal with a little bit of adversity here and there playing in the NBA. And like I said, you can pay them as much as you want. Of course, you should never even entertain the thought of things crossing the line as a fan. Racial slurs, family members, anything like that. Don't do it. Never should be said in an NBA arena. And I agree with anything like that, but that's not the case here. Oh, and it's not close to that. They're booing an opposing player slightly as he's shooting free throws. It was one of the softest things I think I've seen in the history of professional sports. These are grown-ass men getting boo while they're shooting free throws. And he grabs the mic. Oh my God. Oh my God. Could you imagine any other coach in any other league doing that? Could you imagine it? Could you actually imagine it with your brain, that happening in any? Oh, wait, no, you can't, because nobody would ever do that ever in a million years, ever. Especially if you consider the entire spectrum of all the context in that situation and the severity of the booing that was going on. That was the most asinine, absurd, entitled, soft display of flexing and power and lack of awareness I've ever witnessed in professional sports in all things I've ever seen. And it's unfathomable that actually happened. Now, the good news for Popovich, as he clearly knows this in the back of his head. The good news is it was a news piece and then it kind of got swept away. It is what it is. It's San Antonio. They're not a good team. It's a meaningless NBA game. That's why he went and did it, because he knew he could get away with it. Imagine doing that in the playoffs. Imagine doing that ever. I can't imagine it. But Greg Popovich thinks he's earned that. He hasn't earned it. He's never going to be able to earn anything like that ever in a million years, ever. Completely unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. I cannot believe that happened. Now, should I be this upset about it? Probably not. Doesn't affect me personally. I'm not a Spurs fan. I'm not a Clippers fan. I could care less about either of those teams or Greg Popovich. But the reason it pisses me off and it's so upsetting is because to me, it starts to set a precedent about acceptable behavior in professional sports and sports in general. And as much as people like to poke fun about this and that, and, oh, kids shouldn't be getting participation trophies and everyone wins all the time. I get some of that, and the kids got to feel, it's all part of a bigger conversation, but ultimately to some degree it is true. And in the NBA, in what I believe to be one of the softest leagues in all professional sports, where it's just ego driven and guys demand trades, do whatever they want, act however they want, sit out for load management, all the different things. And now you've got one of the most established and successful head coaches of all time in the middle of the game, grabbing the microphone and telling his fans how to act while the game's going on. Cannot be an acceptable thing. It can never happen again. It is so beyond unacceptable behavior. I don't care the pedigree. I don't care the body of work. I don't care what he's done at all. Telling your fans not to boo is the most absurd thing I've ever witnessed. Not to mention just the other parts of it, that Greg Popovich has gotten away with being pretty, not the nicest guy to the media in his entire tenure as an NBA head coach. He's pretty much gotten away with that for 20 plus years. just kind of being a jerk, just kind of being standoffish. Now, that part I'm actually okay with, because I understand that sometimes the media can be pretty daunting, can be pretty annoying, pretty pestering. And especially when things aren't going well, it's the middle of the game, it's all this different stuff. Like, you don't want to deal with that. Nope, I totally get that. But Greg Popovich, not that it's ever going to be warranted, he was acting like Kawhi Leonard won 15 straight NBA championships with the San Antonio Spurs franchise. And the only reason he left the franchise is because the Spurs organization and the general manager or whoever traded him. And then since then, all Kawhi Leonard's ever done has been nothing but complimentary about San Antonio, begging and pleading for them to come back. Oh, and Kawhi Leonard also won the MVP 15 years in a row. And then he came back and the Spurs fans were unloading with boos as he left, right? That would be a situation where you go, okay, the Spurs fans, you guys are out of touch. Why would you be unloading him with boos? He's been nothing but great to none of that. And I mean, none of that is true. And even if that was the situation, Greg Popovich going to the microphone, still not warranted. All you got to do is go up to the podium after the game as you're answering questions, which they do every night. Go up and before you even answer any questions, as guys have done hundreds of times, and go, hey, listen, before you guys start getting into the questions and I start answering them, I just wanted to say our fans came out with a lot of passion, a lot of energy. They showed up, they paid money for their tickets, all that stuff that I completely understand. But late in the second quarter, Kawhi Leonard was lining up for some free throws, a guy that's done and contributed a lot to our organization. And the fans were kind of booing him, maybe a little bit more than some other guys. And I wasn't sure that was completely warranted. So moving forward, as an organization, I hope we're able to generate and perceive all context accordingly. And, specific guys, maybe in specific situations, easing up a little bit. But ultimately, the fans pay their money. They do what they want. I just know as a fan in that situation, I don't know if I'd be booing a guy like Kawhi Leonard. The other guys, yeah, maybe, sure. Who knows? But Kawhi's done a lot for our team. And, I just hope that San Antonio, we can treat him with the utmost respect, because he's a big contributor to this franchise and this organization's success. That's it. That's all you got to do. That's it. Period. Done. End of story. Drop it. It's not going to make giant headlines. It's going to be like, oh, Popovich criticized. And then no, it's fine. And honestly, the last thing I'll say about this Popovich situation, how embarrassing for those players. How embarrassing for the Spurs players and coaches. I mean, you can even see, you hear the announcers in that clip. You hear the announcers in thing like, well, I've never seen that happen before. Yeah, well, you're right there, co-host. I mean, the only time I've really ever seen it is maybe a college coach doing it to their student body section. A bunch of kids that are 18 to 21 years old who don't know how to act, that are hammered out of their mind in a rivalry game or whatever on a Saturday night. I've seen Coach K do it to the Duke student section. They were booing a head coach or something, and they were chirping the other team's head coach, and he was like a former assistant of Duke, or I don't know. And he went over specifically to that section and was like, hey, cut it out. Anybody but him, right? Stuff like that. But for Pop to do that, I mean, I'm looking at the reaction of his coaches and stuff on the bench. I mean, that's the most. I'm looking at the players right now. Some of them were like, what? Ew, yikes. Go watch the video if you don't believe me. There's a guy sitting next to Wembanyama. I'm not an NBA expert, but just embarrassed. God, God. Got to set a precedent, man. Certain situations in life, you got to put your foot down. You got to put your foot down. You got to overreact, like I probably am with this Popovich situation, because if you don't and you let people just get away with it, then it's going to set a precedent. And moving forward, coaches or people involved in the organization, shit, even players might go, oh, well, Greg Popovich grabbed the microphone in the middle of the game. I think I can get away with that. Nope. You can't do that ever in a million years. Unless the situation is so dire, so drastic, which it just wasn't in this situation. The players on the bench for the Spurs, embarrassed. I imagine the Clippers were like, that's weird. Why did he do that? They're like not even booing that loud. Also, were the Clippers were from Los Angeles, a big market city, to a small market city. Doesn't really matter who's going to be on the team, whether they used to play here or not. He's probably going to get booed. Popovich, joke, dude. What a joke. What a joke. Laughing stock. I mean, that's all time bad. All time brutal move.